A 17-year-old genius walks into a courtroom, not to defend a degree, but his life. Accused of a crime he didn't commit, he's about to turn the law into his next science project. When the courtroom lights flickered on, Eli Barrett sat perfectly still. 17 years old. Wrists bound. Mind sharper than anyone in the room. He wasn't supposed to be here, not on trial, not accused, not treated like a criminal. But life had a strange way of testing people who dared to stand out. The courtroom. State of California versus Eli Barrett. The clerk's voice echoed across the hall. Cameras clicked. Whispers rippled. His mother, Grace Barrett, a local high school art teacher, sat in the front row, hands clasped tight, her eyes swollen from a sleepless night. Beside her was Michael Barrett, Eli's father, a mechanic who owned a small auto shop in Inglewood. He looked like a man holding his breath for 17 years straight. Across the room, the prosecutor smirked, glancing at Officer Travis Malone, the cop who swore Eli had robbed a liquor store 2 nights ago. Malone looked calm, too calm, like a man used to getting away with things. But Eli was no ordinary teenager, and this would be no ordinary trial. Flashback, the arrest. 2 nights earlier, the sound of tires screeching had sliced through the quiet streets of South LA. Eli was walking home from the Compton Community Tech Center, where he'd been helping college students debug their coding projects. He carried his laptop in one hand, his hoodie up, earbuds in. That's when the red and blue lights caught him from behind. "Hey, you, stop right there." Eli froze. Officer Malone and his partner stepped out of their cruiser. "You matched the description of a robbery suspect," Malone said. "Where were you an hour ago?" Eli blinked, trying to process. "The tech center." "You can check the cameras," he said calmly. He reached for his ID, but before his fingers touched his pocket. "Hands where I can see them." Malone's voice cracked like a whip. The next moments blurred, cuffs, cold metal, concrete floors. Eli hadn't even realized he was being arrested until the cruiser door slammed behind him. Back to the courtroom. The prosecutor cleared his throat. "Your Honor, the defendant resisted arrest and was found matching the exact description provided by an eyewitness." "Read the description," said Attorney Cole Henderson, Eli's defense lawyer, his tone steady. The prosecutor hesitated, then read. "Black male, late teens, wearing a gray hoodie and carrying a backpack." Henderson raised an eyebrow. "So, essentially, every high school student in South Los Angeles?" Laughter rippled faintly through the courtroom before the judge silenced it with a gavel tap. Eli didn't move. His eyes were fixed on Malone, unblinking, calculating. Who Eli really was. Before all this, Eli Barrett had been known as the kid who could solve anything. He saw math like other people saw art, alive, colorful, rhythmic. While most kids spent weekends gaming or scrolling, Eli spent his nights building flight simulations and solving physics problems professors used for graduate students. He wasn't arrogant. Just endlessly curious. He dreamed of becoming an aerospace systems architect, of designing crafts that could touch the edge of space. Despite the family's modest income, his parents had built him a world of learning. Grace filled the house with books, colors, and conversation. Michael turned the garage into a mini workshop, circuit boards, soldering tools, spare motors from old cars. By the time he was 16, Eli had offers from MIT, Stanford, and Caltech. He was still deciding which path to take, until the night everything changed. The holding cell. At the LA County Juvenile Detention Center, time didn't move, it dragged. Fluorescent lights buzzed like angry flies, and the walls smelled of sweat and bleach. Malone stood outside the cell, leaning against the bars, smirking. "You think you're smart, huh?" Eli said nothing. "You'll be lucky if this doesn't ruin your scholarship dreams," Malone continued. That's when Eli smiled, a calm, unnerving smile. "Officer, you made a mistake." And I'm going to prove it. Malone chuckled. You kids all say that. Yeah, Eli replied softly, but most of them don't have timestamps, witnesses, and a full digital alibi. Flashback, earlier that night. Hours before his arrest, Eli had been tutoring Leah Ramos, a college sophomore struggling in her computer science course. She was almost ready to quit school, until Eli spent 2 hours explaining data structures with clarity that left her speechless. They wrapped up at 9:25 p.m. At that exact moment, a liquor store 6 miles away was robbed. Eli even helped Leah pack up her things, both caught on the tech center's surveillance camera. But no one had asked about that, not yet. The call. At 1 a.m., sitting in his cell, Eli finally got his one phone call. He didn't call his parents first. He called Mr. Henderson, his old debate coach turned lawyer. Cole? It's Eli Barrett. They arrested me. Arrested you? For what? Something I didn't do. I need your help. There was silence. Then Henderson's voice, steady and serious. Hold tight, kid. I'll be there by morning. Only then did Eli call home. When Grace answered, her voice cracked. Baby, what happened? Mom, I need you to stay calm. Call Mr. Henderson. Please. Grace's sob turned into resolve. We'll fix this, Eli. I promise. The trial begins. When morning came, the world outside had already changed. Social media was buzzing, #FreeEli was trending. A bystander had filmed the arrest, posting the video online, a calm teenager raising his hands while an officer barked commands. Now, in court, Henderson stood beside Eli like a wall of steel. He pressed the remote, and the screen behind him flickered to life. Your Honor, Henderson said, let's review the timestamp. Footage appeared, the Compton Tech Center, 9:27 p.m. Eli, in his gray hoodie, leaning over a desk, pointing at Leah's laptop. Her face was visible, nodding along. The jury murmured. Henderson turned back to Malone. Officer, can you explain how my client committed a robbery miles away while tutoring someone here? Malone swallowed hard. The missing footage. And now, Henderson continued, let's address the so-called resistance. He held up a police report. You stated that Mr. Barrett resisted arrest, correct? Yes, Malone said tightly. Then your body cam must clearly show that, right? Malone didn't answer. Let's take a look, Henderson said, pressing play. The footage showed Eli standing still, hands up. Then, static. A black screen for 10 full seconds. When the video returned, Eli was already handcuffed. Officer Malone, Henderson said softly, did you manually disable your body cam? Malone's jaw tensed. That's a violation of police procedure, isn't it? The silence was louder than any admission. Flashback, the day before the arrest. The irony of it all? A day before the arrest, Eli had given a speech at his high school about justice in technology. He spoke about how algorithms could reinforce bias, how systems reflect their makers. His words, recorded on the school's live stream, went viral afterward, because they felt prophetic. Genius isn't just solving equations, he'd said. It's knowing when the math doesn't add up, and having the courage to call it out. The verdict. The judge looked down at his notes, eyes flicking between the footage and the officer. Given this evidence, he said finally, the charges are dismissed. Grace gasped. Michael exhaled for the first time in hours. Eli didn't smile, he just closed his eyes, letting the tension slip from his shoulders. But he wasn't finished. Because justice for him wasn't enough. The aftermath. Within a week, Eli's story spread across the country. Major outlets picked it up, not as just another wrongful arrest story, but as a portrait of intelligence under fire. His lawyer filed a lawsuit against the LAPD for unlawful detainment, falsified reporting, and procedural misconduct. When the review board investigated Malone's body cam logs, they found what Eli had suspected. The footage gap was caused by a manual shutdown, intentional tampering. By month's end, Malone was terminated. Reporters tried to interview Eli outside the courthouse. "What do you want to say to Officer Malone?" one shouted. Eli paused. "I don't need an apology," he said. "I need a change." Flashback, Grace and Michael. That night, back home, Grace and Michael sat in the kitchen watching him eat for the first time in days. Michael reached over, voice low. "I wanted to protect you from the world, son. Never thought the world would come for you anyway." Eli looked up. "You did protect me, Dad. You and Mom, you gave me the tools to fight with my mind." Grace smiled faintly. "Then keep using it. A new mission." Eli could have walked away, gone back to his scholarship offers, disappeared into the comfort of academia. But instead, he started something new, a non-profit initiative called the Barrett Project, scholarships for young black students wrongfully accused or systemically disadvantaged. He partnered with local universities, spoke at schools, and taught others how to document, question, and defend with logic. He became more than a genius, he became a symbol. Not just of intelligence, but of resistance through reason. Closing scene. Months later, during an interview at Caltech, a journalist asked, "Eli, do you ever wish that night never happened?" Eli paused, looking out toward the sunset beyond Pasadena's skyline. "I wish it didn't happen," he said, "but I'm not sorry it did. Because I learned something." "What's that?" He smiled faintly. "That truth isn't just about facts. It's about the people brave enough to fight for them." The camera lingered on his face, calm, thoughtful, determined. He'd gone from a teenager in handcuffs to a young man reshaping conversations about justice, truth, and brilliance. Eli Barrett wasn't just another genius kid. He was proof that even when the